how did you eventually break the record?
I don't even know how I broke it. I don't know what game I broke it or nothing. I don't know. I just know we were like reading the stats off or something. Like, yeah, you broke the record and all that. I'm like, nah, I didn't. But they gave me a ball like later down the line and all that, but I didn't know I broke it.
What's going on today? I'm the host, Zach Schumaker, and joining me today is preseason All A-10 first team selection. He's a one-time All A-10 second team selection, one-time All A-10 third team selection. He's a 2019-2020 A-10 sixth man of the year, three-time A-10 player of the week, and he's Southwestern Illinois' all-time leading scorer, Javonte Perkins. Appreciate you coming on today, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Well, you're now about 4 months or so in this rehab process from your torn ACL. Give us a little update on that.
The progress been going good. Not too bad. I'm pain free now, so I guess that's the best part. But nothing too bad. It's just a slow grind.
I want to go through a little bit of how it occurred. I know obviously it happened in the expedition game, but kind of take us through that. I mean, obviously it was a big moment for you. You came back, took your extra year. How did it all go unfold for you? Just take us through what happened when it actually occurred for you.
I don't even remember honestly what I did. I know I caught the ball and I was driving. I think I did like a jump stop or something. I remember jumping, and I just remember my knee just doing something funny like it wasn't supposed to do. And that's when I was like, I thought my knee just like went out of place for a second, but I felt it. My knee was all right, so I just hopped off the court like, all right. But I kind of figured I knew what I did though.
And that was a big thing for you because obviously knowing who you were a guy that had a good chance of potentially winning A-10 player of the year. There were pro potential, obviously. A lot of people have said you could have very well been drafted this year in the NBA draft. And you took the gambling stuff. Obviously, you decided to come back for one more year, spend the year. What was going through your mind at that point in time when you ended up finding out it was torn ACL? What was going through your mind?
I don't think nothing really was going through my mind at the time. Like it was just like, dang, like I did a lot of work to get here. You know what I'm saying? I tore it, but it was just like, all right, well, it's time to get back now. It ain't no point in reflecting in the past, so because that ain't gonna help me. So just decided, like, let me get back to myself. However long it takes, that's how long it takes me.
In terms of an outlook, like I said, you're about 4 months or so removed from the injury and the surgery and all that.
Mm-hmm.
What's the timeline for yourself? Like, what do you plan on getting done summer-wise? When do you plan to get back to 100%? Like, what's the timeline looking like for yourself?
I think I'll be cleared around June, but so I'll probably be 100% around maybe like October or something like that. That's when I'll probably be 100% back to my old self.
Absolutely. Well, I want fans to get to know you and your story because, as I said, your name has been growing more and more as time's gone on. So I want people to get to know your story and how you became the Javonte Perkins that we now know you as. So if we head all the way back, you're originally from where you're out there playing right now, St. Louis. What was it like growing up out there?
I mean, I was all right. I was just a quiet, tall kid that played basketball. I didn't stayed out of trouble. I didn't bother nobody. They didn't bother me. I just played basketball and went home. That's all I did.
That is a hard thing for some guys to do, obviously. Like there is a lot of distractions that places you could have gone down your path, and you obviously chosen to stay locked into basketball. What made you do that? What made you say, you know what, I want to choose basketball. That's the thing I want to pursue as opposed to any of these other distractions?
I mean, that never was really my thing. I ain't really talked to many people. I just knew what I wanted to do in life, even when I was a kid. So, I mean, I just knew that I wanted to be, I didn't want to be somebody in the city that was like, yeah, well, he used to play basketball, but now he does this. I was like, nah, I knew that what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to make my mom sad about all that stuff I would have been doing. So I just decided to stay with basketball.
Was that always a sport you pursued? Was it from pretty much day one, like that was a sport you fell in love with, or what was the steps that you eventually fell in love with the game of basketball?
Yeah, that's all I played. I ain't played no other sport. I used to just run around throwing the ball off the walls and stuff like that. Then my mom just signed me up for basketball one day when I was I was younger. So I mean, I never tried no other sport. This is the only sport I like.
When you eventually grew into that place where it wasn't just a sport you liked anymore, obviously still is a sport too, but it became something where you said, this could be a way that I can make a life out of it. I can go to play high school with it. I can go potentially play college. I can play even further than that maybe. When did it start becoming that kind of mindset for yourself?
Well, I was in middle school and stuff. Like with high school, that was like, whoa, like that was like mind blowing. So
Mm-hmm.
when I got to high school and I actually started playing, it was like, okay, well, I guess it's basketball at the end of the day. But college, that's when everything started changing. That's when I was like, probably around my junior year, that's when I was like, okay, this could take you somewhere. And then when I actually found out in college that I actually could play professional, I'm like, oh, well, maybe I should take it a little more serious now. Because high school, I was just going, I was good. I was better than my conference, so I was just playing. But when I got to college, that's when I was like, oh, okay, now this could change people's lives. So
Mm-hmm.
right.
And knowing a lot of guys from St. Louis, Missouri, you guys have a certain mentality. And obviously, there's different places across the country that when you grow up, there's a certain mentality that comes with being from out there. So, how have you taken that? Is there what kind of certain maybe dog mentality or a certain just kind of the way you carry yourself that comes from being from St. Louis?
Yeah, I think people from St. Louis are very underrated. So they had that chip on their shoulder, like, we just as good as everybody else. So I mean, I think we just try to prove everybody wrong.
There are countless great players. I know the two biggest names that people talk about today is obviously two All-Stars, Bradley Beal and Jason Tatum, but you just look at the generation that you've been a part of. So guys that even in that age range and all that, but what was it like just growing up with those type of guys?
It's always fun. You're gonna get some of the best games against each other, and that's gonna last forever. Because people I played with in fourth grade playing against each other, and I still talk to them to this day. So we remember the same thing. So it's always you're gonna have those memories forever. Just playing against the top talent and just seeing where they at now is just like it's a good feeling.
Who would you say was your favorite guy to go up against out there in St. Louis?
Favorite guy to play against. I used to play Jordan Goodwin a lot back when I was younger. Uh, he used to beat me a lot when I was younger. I ain't gonna lie, he did. So yeah, that probably was the best player I played against in my age group. Then we became teammates. So I mean.
So did you two, were you guys kind of close growing up at all, or was it until you eventually became teammates that you guys became cool with each other?
Yeah, now we weren't really close because he on the Illinois side, I'm St. Louis, so we weren't really too close. But I knew him. When we became teammates, that's when we became close though.
Off the court before we go into high school, I also want to go into your mom, and you kind of talked about her and her impact on you, and she also battled stuff on her own side as well. She obviously has MS, so walk us that aspect about that. How big of a role has she had on your life, and also how has she been able to style as big as a role she has on you while going through what she's been going through?
Oh man, that's like she's everything to me. That was like my best friend growing up. So she kept me out of a lot of things anyway, just off that, like. So I mean, but the MS part, I never really knew too much about it because she's not gonna share it with me. But I knew she had something, but I was like, oh, okay, she cool, she all right, she's still living good, so it's not too big to worry about, I guess. And thankfully, it's nothing that's too big of a concern. But yeah, she like my rock. She's everything.
When you just talk about her impact on your life as a whole now, how much has it inspired you to become the player and the person that you are today?
I remember like if I had a bad game, she'd come up and ask me like, "Yeah, you ain't played too good today, did you?" Like, man, stuff used to make me mad. It used to make me like, "Oh, like, leave me alone." But like, so I was like, "All right, maybe if I play good every game, she ain't gonna say that too much more." So it was just, I just wanted to make her proud. Honestly, basically, that's really all it was.
Let's go into your high school career. You just got to go out there to Miller Career Academy. What led you to that school? Why was that the high school that you wanted to play your high school ball at?
Honestly, that wasn't like we moved right when I was going to high school. So it was like I didn't really know where I was gonna go, but I had a family member in the school, and my cousin used to go there a long time ago. So I was like, my mom was just like, they'll look after you there. So and they did.
If someone would have came and told you that, obviously it took a little bit longer than you probably would have dreamed of potentially too, going the JUCO route, but if someone had told you that about 6-7 years from that point when you're walking on your freshman year that you would eventually become a Division I player and be at the type of player that you are today, what would your reaction have been?
So I mean, probably wouldn't listen to nothing they were saying, honestly. Like, especially that long ago, like I'm not trying to hear that. Like I'm worried about now. That has nothing to do with right now. But if they would have said that, I would have took it more serious though. But probably looking back, like I probably wouldn't have listened to those.
So could you have ever imagined that you would have been this type of player heading into your freshman year?
Nah, but like I could imagine being it, but like actually being it, it's like that's two different things. So I mean, I could imagine trying to be like the best player or something like that, but me actually being the best player is like, nah, I never would have thought something like that.
You do a lot on the court, but obviously the biggest thing that we all know you as is you're an elite scorer. You can score pretty much at will. Has that always been a part of you? Have you just always had a knack for being able to score at will?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, probably so. But when I was younger, I was just more of like a shooter though. Like I never put the ball on the ground, do all that. That came, I guess, with age. But when I was younger, I just basically used to shoot the ball.
Let's go into your freshman season then. You obviously head out there and you have your very first year of high school basketball. What was that year like for yourself?
Uh, well, I mean, it was all right. We had like 5 seniors, so it was like it wasn't too. It was fun to get the experience, but they got most of the minutes. I was just there for the ride, basically.
That sophomore year, though, I know you get a much larger role at least. You're averaging about 16 points a game, almost 10 rebounds as well. What led to that jump then for your sophomore year? And just what was that sophomore year like for yourself?
I just got more. I got more shots. That came more shots, more more confidence. You know, I was like that guy that they needed to score the ball now because everybody else left. So I'm like, okay, maybe I could do what I could do now. So that's really what just confidence, more shots.
At that same time, then you obviously had in your upperclassmen years, and there's a lot of stuff that guys start looking at. You start seeing, at least I can imagine, guys are starting to commit, guys are getting ranked, guys are getting all this different stuff happening around you. You obviously had to take a much different route. We'll get into that throughout this interview too. But what was going through your mind in terms of this becoming something? I know you said you wanted to be a dream. You thought you could play Division I basketball, but what was going through your mind as you saw yourself not getting the offers that some guys might have been getting, not getting the rankings and attention? How are you handling all that?
Not too bad. I'm just like, if it's gonna come, it's gonna come. And whenever it did, it did. So just stay patient. Just follow your course. That's all.
That's different because not a lot of guys have that same mentality. So, what kind of led you to that? Like, what was it that kept you grounded and kept you saying, I'm just going to continue the journey, just waiting to see what God's got in store for me?
I don't know. It's really just me. There's nothing really about it. It's just me. Like, I feel like if it's there for you, then it's gonna be there for you. Whenever it comes, it's gonna come to you though. So just stay have a positive mindset. Everything gonna work out for you.
That junior season was the best season up until your senior year. You guys go 21-5 as a team. You average almost a double double. Walk us through that junior year and just how big that was for your career and just your confidence as a player.
That was like a breakout year, honestly. Like now I know I'm the upperclassman now. Like I could do what I want to do now. I could control everything now because it's really nobody. I had seniors, but they were, they weren't gonna shoot the ball over me anymore. Like I'm the leader now. I could do this now. So that was just more confidence adding on to it.
At that point in time, would you say that you saw yourself as a for sure Division I player, or when did that start clicking for you and started saying, I know I can play this game at the Division I level?
Yeah. I think the more competition I had. So going against other people that's going Division I or getting a lot of offers, that made me like, okay, yeah, I could do that too.
What guy would you say was the one that made you kind of think that? I know there's quite a few guys that went Division I that played where you're playing. So, what type of guys were your favorite matchups overall? Like, I know you mentioned Jordan Goodwin earlier, but what other guys were some of the guys that you love going up against? And also at the same time, kind of gave you confidence saying, I can do this against pretty much anyone in the country now.
I don't know if it's particularly one person, but like teams. like
Mhm.
teams that would, you know what I'm saying, pretty good in the city or the state or wherever they at, you know. So I mean, that just like okay, most of these people on the team are going to play college basketball. So I'm like, well, I mean, if I do good, I could play college basketball too.
That senior year was by far your best season. You averaged 21 a game, almost 16 rebounds a game. And obviously, you're a guard for it. And that's something we have seen you do, obviously, at the college level, too. You are able to rebound at a high level when that's the role you need to play. So, what was that senior year like? And how were you able to go out there and average almost 21 and 16 that year?
I can't even tell you, man. That was like basically something that I was forced to do. I was almost like the tallest kid on my team, honestly. So it was like we expecting you to do this stuff now. Like
That is something that's a unique piece about you. Overall, when you look at your average for your overall rebounds, 3.5 was your first year out there at St. Louis. Second year was about almost 4 a game. But you have had games where you get close to triple double type numbers. You have games where you get double doubles. What leads you to that? And how have you been able to be a guy that's at 6'6", a guard, maybe a 3-2, obviously you can run that as well. What's allowed you to become such a great rebounder? Obviously, when it's the right role you need to play.
uh it's all just a will, just a rebound. Just gotta do it. But you know, we had two people on my team at SLU averaging double double. So, you know, that took away from my rebounds, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not complaining, you know, but you know, it's all just a will and a 1-2. That's all.
When that season concludes, I know we just talked about it in a second there, but you came out, obviously, you didn't have rankings. You didn't have too many offers out there at all. Obviously, you ended up going the JUCO route. Where were you in terms of this career? Like, what was your thoughts? How are you handling saying, okay, I think I can play the Division 1 level? In fact, I've proved it against multiple Division 1 guys too now. I have to take the JUCO route now. So what led to then? How did you handle that?
You know, same thing. I was all right with it, you know, because I knew it was gonna come when it came. So I mean, I wasn't too mad about it or anything because I mean, you know, I knew I was gonna get there eventually. So
Now, the JUCO route is an interesting route because there's a lot of things that come with being a JUCO. It's obviously does not have anywhere near the funding or the resources that Division 1 school like you're at now has. But
mhm.
for starters, out of all the schools you had an option to, was Southwest Illinois the only school, or what other schools were you possibly considering in that first initial recruiting process?
So I had a lot of the conference that Southwest Illinois is in. I had most of those conferences, like all those schools basically.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I wanted to stay closer to home. And the guy I grew up with, the point guard for that team, he was like my best friend growing up. And, you know, he went to that school. So I was like, oh, well, yeah, let's do it. It's time for us to get together again. That's basically all that happened.
Well, let's head into that because, as I just mentioned, JUCO is an interesting route, which I know a lot of people might be as educated on it. They don't understand how great it can be for some guys, but it's not easy. And those that do make it out oftentimes become great players because you learn that you can handle whatever adversity, whatever comes with it, possibly off the court. How much of a impact did becoming a JUCO player, dealing with all the stuff that comes with being a JUCO player, help make you into the player and the person that you are today?
You know, it's more like either you gonna do it or you not gonna do it. Like like if you don't do it, then you're not gonna make it. You know, so if you do everything you supposed to, you gonna make it. So, but everybody trying to make it.
Yep.
So that's what makes it hard. But if you just stay on top of everything, handle your business and all that, you'll be out of here in no time. It's not too bad.
When you talk about the mentality we talked about earlier too, from growing up out there in St. Louis, how much does that prepare you, if any, for JUCO?
I put a lot because you know you got that chip on your shoulder, and
Mm-hmm.
now you at the JUCO too. So now it's like, oh, well, yeah, nah. No, I know I ain't supposed to. I know I'm better than a lot of people that's in Division 1. So it's like I know I could play there. Like let me just show people that I can.
You mentioned that for a little bit there, but that aspect of you're in this locker room where to become a great JUCO player and make the next jump, a lot of coaches are looking for you guys to be on successful JUCO teams too. You're supposed to win games, but it's very difficult to do that too because everyone in that locker room, you guys are cool, whatever, to a certain extent, but you guys all know that you guys want to play at the next level. You guys don't want to just be done after 2 years. So it's in a way you have that own battle within your own team too. So how did you guys do that? How was that locker room experience like trying to know that we have to be cool to win games, but at the same time, I want what I need to get, and I want to get out of here to my place I want to be at.
Yeah. Well, my two teams there were probably the closest teams I've probably almost been around.
Hmm.
We knew like you win, everybody gonna get it. Like it's not just gonna be you. If you play good, everybody look good. The
Yeah.
more games you win, that brings more coaches. Everybody can get it. Like so, I mean, yeah, those probably some of the closest people I've been around. Yeah, just that swing period.
Obviously, the head coaches deserve a ton of credit for that as well. So take us through the relationship with coach. Like, how big of a role has he had on your life, and just how did he help get those teams to where they became throughout those 2 years you're there?
Yeah, it's my guy. It's my guy. He's crazy though. That's my guy. My guy. He made sure everybody knew, like, yeah, we gonna win. We gonna win. As long as we do what we supposed to do, we gonna win. We a good team. No selfishness, no none of that. We gonna win. That's gonna bring coaches, of course. But my guy.
Was there a JUCO wake up moment for you, rather it be your first JUCO game, a scrimmage, first practice there, or what was necessarily your JUCO moment where you said, "Okay, this is different. This is JUCO basketball now."
Oh, oh man, we were just like in practice all the time. I was like, bro, like I don't feel like doing this. Like, man, and I was just like going through the motions, like just not really wanting to be there. But I don't remember like what really happened, but like something clicked. I'm like, nah, all right, I'm cool, I'm all right. And then after that, it was just like, okay, yeah, this kid's kind of good, I guess.
Your first year out there, you guys go 25-8 as a team. You average over 20 a game, get about 9 rebounds a game as two. What was that first year JUCO like for yourself?
Honestly, like when I was playing, like I wasn't even thinking about it too much. Like I knew I was like, oh, I'm just playing basketball. Like I didn't really know about all the stats and all that. I was just playing. Like we were just good.
Mm-hmm.
And I just happened to be one of the leading scorers. I wasn't thinking about nothing else, just playing basketball. Because I knew I had another year to do anyway. So I was like, yeah, whatever. I ain't really care.
And that is also a certain degree too we have to look at because as I mentioned that there is that clock on yourself to a certain extent where there's 2 years you got in JUCO. At the end of that, if there's not a Division 1 offer or D2 or something, like your career is pretty much over. Obviously, there could be other ways you get out there, but pretty much it's over. Did that put any pressure on yourself as you're going to college there?
Nah, because I knew I had to make it out. There's no other options. Either I'm gonna do it or I'm gonna do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no failing in this option right now. There's no failing.
We'll talk about your sophomore year there in a second, but you obviously end up choosing from a couple different colleges eventually. When did the college offers first start coming in? When did you first start getting to talk to those college coaches?
Uh, I probably talked to a few my freshman year, not too many, but because they knew I had to do my sophomore year anyways. So it was like, mm, I guess we'll just wait till next year, basically, because that's when I'll be making the decision anyways.
Mm-hmm. When you did get that first offer and you just started talking to coaches, how big was that for you and your confidence? And just take us through what that was like for yourself.
Man, it was big. I mean, I'm one step closer to getting up out of here. The goal is to get out. So, okay. Now I guess a coach sees something in me. So now it's like, okay, cool. Let me go a little harder so I can get a little more coaches. Then, that's all.
Walk us through the very first offer you got. How did it go down and what was your reaction?
I think they called me. I think it was my freshman year. They called me or something like that. And I was with my teammate, and he like just committed to Cleveland State. He's like, man, you know what I'm saying? You got it. Like you really got it. You nice. I'm like, man, I'm not worried about that, bro. Like this is one offer. I'm not really worried about that, bro. But the more coaches and the more left you start getting, it's like, oh, okay, it's something.
Then you go into that sophomore season, and by the end of it, you become the school's all-time leading scorer. You guys go 20-12. You average 26 points a game that year. How big was that sophomore year like for yourself? And just take us to that sophomore year.
Man, that was a movie. I was with my teammate again from Cleveland State. They went to Cleveland State. He was he broke the record like my freshman year. So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, he was like, yeah, you gotta break it. You gotta break the record. I'm like, bro, I don't really care about the record like that. But the closer I got to him, I was like, oh yeah, I think I do want to break it. I think I do. But like, yeah, I was just playing. Like, I mean, I didn't really think about it too much. I was just playing basketball. I was having fun. That's really it, just having fun.
When you did break that record, what did that mean to you, and how did you eventually break the record?
I don't even know how I broke it. I don't know what game I broke it or nothing. I don't know. I just know we were like reading the stats off or something. Like, yeah, you know, you broke the record and all that. I'm like, nah, I didn't. But they gave me a ball like later down the line and all that, but I didn't know I broke it.
Then we go into that
I mean,
recruiting aspect for yourself. And as we talked about, you obviously didn't have too many offers after that as well, but we know that St. Louis was in the mix for yourself. Louisiana Monroe, I believe, was your second favorite school, or at least right up there too. What did the recruiting process look like for yourself then heading into college?
it was all right. I knew where I wanted to go though, so I was just waiting for that one offer. When I got it, I knew, yeah, that's it.
Out of all those schools, was there a second favorite school, or was St. Louis just far above everyone else, or who really was in the mix for you in terms of maybe a top two, maybe even top three?
Yeah, just, just that one.
And being the hometown hero, I know that's a huge role that most guys like to play. So, how big was it for you to know that the hometown school wanted you and you could go back home and play in front of all your family, all your friends?
Yeah, that's really it. I just wanted to play in front of my mom again. I just
Mhm.
wanted to come back home. I mean, have all my friends there, my brothers. Man, I couldn't beat it.
Was St. Louis the dream school for you growing up, or did you even have a school that you loved watching growing up?
I mean, everybody likes Kentucky and Duke and all that. So, I think mine was probably Kentucky. But like the older I started getting, I was like, kind of want to stay home.
Mhm.
So I mean, I guess kind of is a dream school, kind of not, but I just really want to stay home.
What comes with that? Because each guy takes that differently. And obviously, there's guys that stay home and might just become role players. But you obviously have taken that role where you're not just a role player. You obviously have been one of these star guys. And when you get back out the next year, you can be the guy. So when you get that atmosphere, you truly are the hometown hero. You're the hometown star. What comes with them? Just how special is that for yourself?
It's special, but that come with a lot of pressure. You gotta deliver on being that hometown guy. So I mean, if you don't play bad, you're gonna hear about it. But if you play good, you'll be supported a lot. So I mean, it's a win lose. But just make sure you come out prepared, ready to play, and then you'll be all right.
I do want to get into Coach Ford because he's a very underrated coach, in my opinion. He's been successful year in, year out. And I think this year is a testament. They're obviously 19-9 without the guy that they're going to pretty much base the team around. They got the experience for this year, and they still found a way to get to 19-9. So take us through Coach Ford. What makes him such a special coach?
Just perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
And you want the best out of everybody. If you're not getting it, you're gonna find a way to get it out of you. But he just wants everything perfect because he know what you can do and what you're capable of. So if you're not giving it, it's like, all right, now you basically just cheating yourself.
How about off the court for him? Because so many people see him on the court and what he does. Maybe there's an interview here and there, but when you just get to talk to him off the court, in the locker room, on the plane, on the bus, whatever it might be, what's Coach Ford like off the court?
Cool. A cool, laid back person. Not all the yelling and all that, like how we see it on the TV, all the yelling and all that. Like, nah, it's not that guy. It's not that guy off the court, at least.
The other unique thing about him is that he takes countless guys that have similar stories to yourself, where they didn't come out with a ton of offers. They might have taken a JUCO route, or they might have been unranked, or maybe lowly ranked. I think probably one of the highest guys I see is Jordan Nesbitt, who has his own situation too. What does he do about you guys? Like, how does he, first of all, identify guys that he thinks can be great, even though most of the world doesn't see the talent at that point in time? And just how does he develop each and every single one of you guys into the player that you guys eventually become?
Just getting the most out of people. He knows exactly what you can do. So again, so if he knows what you can do, he's gonna expect to get that from you. He's gonna get it one way or another. So I mean, and you want to play. You know what I'm saying? You want to get on the floor. So it's like, okay, well, do what you're supposed to do there. Do what I know you can do. Like, all right, let me show him what I can do there. Simple.
What's your favorite memory and what's the funniest memory you've created so far, Coach Ford?
I can remember. We were about to play Auburn my first year here. And we were in practice one time, and I got scored on. He was like, "Man, you soft or something like that. We just gonna have to leave you here." I'm like, "What?" I was like, "That is crazy, man." It was my mom's birthday that night, like the game day too. I was like, "Is he talk?" Like, I was just so confused. Like, man, he's crazy, bro. But I'm glad he didn't leave me there though. I'm glad he didn't leave me. I played, but that's probably like that was the first time I ever like, well, what? Like, what is he talking about?
Now, when you head into that first year out there at St. Louis, obviously you had stuff off the court that affected you as well, I can imagine. Your brother passed away then. How did that impact you that year? Going into, because it wasn't just obviously in the offseason, it was about a couple of weeks before the season started. How did that impact you, and just how did you deal with that then right before the year started?
uh, I was like, pretty level-headed guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't let too much get to me. You know, want to be there for my moms more than anything, more than myself. It's bigger than me. So, I mean, just being there for the family more than anything.
And I know that you would talk about being home, being the hometown hero as well. How important was it for you to be able close to home during all that time?
Very important. Family's everything. So that family, you don't really got nothing. So I mean, just being there for them in a tough time like that, it's just like, what I'm saying? Can't beat it.
And we've already discussed your journey to this point. This has always been your dream. You're just about ready to kick off your career now. How much did that incident help inspire you then for the season you ended up having your junior year?
Man, just never take anything for granted.
Mm.
Never know when it's gonna be over. So I mean, just live life every day to the fullest. So I mean, you're gonna play basketball, do it to the best you could do every day.
Mm-hmm. You take a unique situation that year, and it's a role that I admire for a lot of guys because you see the best teams, the championship teams, they always have that key six man. They have a guy that come out there and be a vocal point to the team, but not a lot of guys like taking the six man role. It's difficult. Guys like to be the starter. Guys like to be that type of guy. What allowed you to embrace that role and say, you know what? I know I can be one of the top players, and numbers still show that you were one of the best players, and you were, but you still decided to take that role and say, you know what? I'm going to do what's best for the team. I'm going to be that sixth man. What caused you to embrace that role that year?
Uh, I just knew we didn't have that much off the bench at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, well, I'm the first man in. You know what I'm saying? It's not too bad. You ain't starting, but you know what I'm saying? You're getting quality minutes. It's better than not getting in the game at all. So, let's do it.
Did Coach Ford sit you down at all and you say, okay, we know that you could be starting, you're one of the top five players in this team, but we know that you can be extremely valuable at the six man role. Did you guys have that talk at all during the season or right before the year or something?
I don't think we ever, actually talked about it. It was just
Mm-hmm.
like, this is what it is now. So,
You guys end up going 23-8. You end up having a pretty solid overall year, but especially when you guys get to conference play. What was that first year of Division I basketball like at St. Louis?
before conference, they told me when you transfer, it's gonna take you a semester. But I was like, yeah, all right, whatever. But it actually takes you about a semester just to adjust to everything, the speed of the game, the physicality, and all that. So I mean, that second semester, I was just more comfortable with everything.
There was a couple of different guys that were big time players. The most notable one was Jordan, who you guys spent 2 years with. And I know we kind of touched up on him a little bit before too, but I want to talk about you two because you guys became a pretty great dynamic duo. That year, you obviously were the six man role, coming off the bench, but you guys still play a ton. And last year, you were one of the vocal points alongside him, Hassan, and the other guys. What was it like just playing with him, and how did you guys bond grow over those 2 year span?
Yeah, dynamic duo. Honestly, that's all it was.
Mm-hmm.
If he had it going, we knew we'd go to. But if I had it going, we knew we'd go to. And both of us had it going. It was like, oh yeah, almost unbeatable.
Mm-hmm. I know you talk about you guys played against each other, so you guys had an idea of who he was before that, but when did you guys first start clicking and when did you guys first start saying, okay, we can become that dynamic duo now?
I don't think it was none. You know what I'm saying? It was because he had already knew what he was doing. He
Mm-hmm.
had his role and all that. So it really was just me, just coming along, scoring the ball more. And that's when I was like, okay, we could do something here. But he already knew what he was doing. He'd been there for a while. It was really just me.
What's your funniest memory that you have with Jordan?
Man, his name man a clown. I don't even got no man playing all the time unless it's not like in a real game. So it's like, it's hard to pick one story for him, but that man like a class clown or something, man. He don't stop playing.
And he has that pro mentality because he obviously made his dreams happen. He's got to go to the NBA now. He's got to play in a game. He's been able to play at a high level at the G League and also just playing pro now. What's the biggest thing you learned from just being around him then for 2 years?
Well, I don't know about the 2 years, but I see like now, like when he left and came back, all the work that he put in, like, man, yeah, that's a total change. Like, he did like 3 workouts in one day. I'm like, man, you crazy. Like, and then went to like run in the pool or something like that. I'm like, nah, you crazy, bro. But see, that just doing what it takes. He moved on from the college life now.
Has he given you any advice? Obviously, that's still going to be your goal whenever you get back to make the NBA jump. Has he given you advice? And if so, what's the biggest thing of advice he's given you now as you prepare eventually for your pro journey?
Nah, not really too much advice, because I got injured. So, what I'm saying? I wasn't really trying to hear all that right now. I was just trying to get back, but, probably give me a little bit of advice when I'm back on my feet more.
Well, let's go back into that junior year for yourself because you guys as a whole go 23-8, great overall year for you guys. When you talk about that conference play, though, you guys had countless great players in that conference that season. What was it like just playing that year in the A-10?
My first year, so I had fun. So everybody else knew each other, but I'm like, oh, this is new for me. I don't know nobody. I'm cool. They don't know me. I don't know what to expect from nobody, but they don't know what to expect from me neither. So it was kind of like a surprise, basically, from both ways.
Who would you say has been your favorite player to play against in the A-10?
I don't know about player, but they probably my favorite team to play against.
Mm-hmm.
Probably they.
You then go into that senior season, and last year was an up and down season overall. Obviously, it was able to have happen. You guys got a season to go unfold for yourself, but it wasn't probably the best dream type season overall. You guys have a COVID pandemic going on. You guys have all this stuff happening. How did you deal with that and get accustomed to the COVID season?
That was probably one of the weirdest basketball seasons I've ever been a part of. Just playing with no fans and practicing with masks on, and it was terrible.
I know some teams have different restrictions. So was yours, you guys had to play with masks or practice with masks on for the whole season, or how much of a time did you have to do that?
I think it was really just like summertime or something like that. But after summertime, we could take them off or something like. But it was just like doing too much. We had to live with mask on for a period of time. It was like, man, it was terrible.
When you look at that off season, each guy could only do so much. I know some guys that were in certain areas of the country could practice more than others could, but how did you get better? Because you ended up having a huge season then for yourself, but what was your off season like in the middle of a pandemic?
We couldn't honestly we couldn't do anything at the school at least. So we had to make it do what we had to do. We got people around St. Louis and stuff like that you could work out with. So that's really all you could do.
Then you go into that season, no one really knew what was going to happen. Obviously, the prior year, you guys didn't get a tournament. And this time around, you don't know who's going to be able to play. There's constantly protocols and games stopping and starting and everything going on. What did you just want to get out of last year? When you guys were heading to the season, what were your guys' goals? What were your personal goals? Like, what did you want to accomplish in that year?
We wanted to win. Just win as many games as we can. Because winning gonna make everybody look good again. So man, just win as many games as you can. So at the end of the day, at least you did your job.
Mm-hmm. When you look through that season, how would you say it went? Just take us to the ups and downs of the year. What was your senior year like for yourself?
It was good until COVID happened. And COVID it hit, it was just like I don't know what happened. That it was just like the life went out of us or something. And it was for so long. I think that's what really made it bad. It was just such a long pause. It was just like, man, we never gonna get out there. Then we actually did get back out there. It was like everybody else been playing but us. So it was like, man, it was just different.
How did you guys get through that? I know obviously you guys didn't end the year you guys wanted to, the way you probably guys wanted to end it, but how, when you guys get out of a pandemic and you guys are locked into your rooms pretty much, you guys aren't able to practice together, how were you guys just able to get back on that court and just play the game of basketball?
We were a pretty close team, So I mean,
Mhm.
it wasn't really too bad, but it was just you gotta play against people that's been playing for a while.
Yeah.
And even we took the little break, it's still like, okay, now we rusty too. So, I think we got to practice for like a week or something for our first game, but it was still like practice not like the game. So I mean, that's really all we were just missing that the game speed.
You end up averaging 17 points a game, 4 rebounds, almost 2 assists a game. You become one of the top players officially once again in the conference, second team All A-10. Was that the type of year you expected for yourself? Did you play better than you expected? Worse? How do you feel you did your senior year?
I think I did all right. Could have did a little better, but I mean, I didn't. I don't think I did worse because I improved. I think so. I mean, I don't think I did worse, but you know, I probably could have did better in a few areas though.
Following that season, then you have options on the table. There's a lot of different avenues you could have decided to go down. Obviously, one was you have enough talent to go play pro. Obviously, would that have been the NBA? We don't know. Obviously, you decided to come back, but it could have been there overseas G League. You could have played pro at the end of the day. You obviously decided to come back, and you could have also went to an option of transferring or anything like that. Walk us through all the steps. Like, how did you evaluate decisions? What led you to say ultimately, okay, I have this extra year of eligibility. That's what I want to use and come back for one more year.
It was more so just trying to raise my stock more than anything. Trying to show trying to show people I could do a little more. That's that's really all it was.
Were you close to ever going taking a pro route, or how close did you ever get to possibly pursuing a different route than just coming back?
Yeah, I was close.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if I do a little more, what I'm saying, I could show people that I could do something else. So
Initially, what were your biggest goals you want to do for yourself? Were there certain things you wanted to get better at skill wise? And if so, like, what were the biggest things you wanted to grow in as a player by coming back?
score the ball more,
Mm-hmm.
shoot better from the three, defend more, rebound more. That's really the basics. Nothing outrageous or nothing, but
As you're heading through this off season, then you buy into coming back for another year. You guys have an interesting group, which now at this point in time, people are high on. We see them as a 1919, one of the top teams in the A-10, and they're a bunch of young players, all guys that can return for next year too. You were going to be that lead guy. You're the super senior. You were going to kind of be the anchor of the team. How special were you guys? And just how excited were you for the year up until the injury occurred?
yeah, I was really excited. This team's close too. Everybody loves everybody. So I
Mhm.
mean, not it wasn't a bad team at all. It was gonna be real fun to play with them.
What were your expectations heading into the season? Because you now were a guy that, once again, you had all these opportunities. You're just came out of second team All A-10. You're easily going to be A-10 All First Team, I believe, not Player of the Year even. What were your goals for the year when you were coming into the senior season?
Lead the conference in scoring. Just shoot better from the three again. Just defend more. Just do everything more. Honestly, now just do everything.
When the injury occurred for yourself, you saw this team, and initially, most media people looked at them and said, okay, you were the best player. You're this type of guy. Now it's just a bunch of young guys playing. Were you shocked by how good they've been this year? Have they even shocked you a little bit by being 19-9 at this point in time, or did you kind of expect them to be this talented when you went down to injury?
Yeah, I knew what they could do. Not surprised by anything. I knew exactly what they could do. It was just a matter of them going out there and doing it.
I want to touch up on a couple of those guys because they're going to be teammates obviously next year as well for yourself. One of which is Yuri, who you've now played with for a little bit. What makes him so special? Because he is one of the best passers in the country. What makes Yuri Collins so special?
The chip on his shoulder. Yeah, just showing everybody, what I'm saying, he could do it. He's the best point guard in the nation, in my opinion. I mean, that's just him.
What's the best pass you've seen him do at practice in a game? Like, what's the most shocking pass that he's done when you've been around him?
He did some bounce pass against Auburn this year, like some like rap pass. It's crazy. He did it again another game. I don't know what game it was. It was a recent game, but like yeah, probably against Auburn. He threw some like rap bounce pass. I don't know, crazy.
You guys also have Gibson, who's now made a huge jump this year as well. He's now becoming guys averaging 17, 18 points a game, I believe. What's it been like just playing with him, and how much have you enjoyed kind of seeing the jump that he's now had coming into this season?
Yeah, best shooter in the country right there, behind me. Yeah, the second best shooter in the country, I should say that. But yeah, proud of, I knew he could do it. I mean, he knew he could do it too. That's all it is. There's more confidence to him.
There is also the young guy who is eventually someone that is going to take over for your role. I think once you obviously come back for another year and it could be his team, that's Jordan Nesbitt, who was a top guy in the country. I've always thought of him, even when he went back out there to Memphis, I had him as a top 30 player in the country. He's got a lot of talent. So how high are you on him, and how special can he be 1, 2, maybe 3 years down the road?
Very special. I've been knowing him for a while now too, so I know what he could do.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing. This is nothing new that I'm seeing. So very special. You know what I'm saying? Just put a little more piece together. He'll be all right.
We went through your injury, but there's another interesting story that happened during that same time span. On the women's side of the game, you guys also had Smith, who also tore ACL that same day, same place. Take us out a little bit. I know you guys are both on the basketball program. So how did that all unfold? I know you guys have had to talk about that at some point. So what was how did that all happen?
Uh, I think I tore mine at like that night. She tore hers 12 hours later.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like how? Like that's never happened in basketball before, like ever. That was one of the craziest things I ever. I seen her at the doctor that day. I'm like, she looks all right though. What I'm saying? I didn't think too much of it, but then when they said, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That just shocked me.
I have to imagine you guys had to talk about that then once you guys both knew you guys was torn ACLs. What was that conversation like?
Like, I was a little more sad for her than I was for myself. You know what I'm saying? Just I don't know. I guess that's just the kind of guy I am. I guess, but it was just yeah, that's messed up, man. I don't know. I feel bad for her more than I feel bad for myself.
Now, you guys have this team you guys are at 19-9, and obviously there's another option for yourself. You could very well come back again. This counts as your redshirt season, so you could obviously come back for another season. Is that the official goal and plan for yourself? Is that something that you want to pursue? Do you plan on coming back next year for St. Louis, or how do you plan to evaluate that?
I don't really have a plan just yet. Just get myself back to 100%. Then we'll, what I'm saying, see where that leads me. But until then, I ain't really had no plan just yet.
Now, I know fans obviously could be excited. You look at the young this group, adding yourself back in the next year with this whole group getting a whole nother summer developed. You guys probably would be one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to win A-10. Would you say there's any chance that fans could at least be somewhat excited for a potential coming back season for one more time for you?
Let me think. Can't say yes. I can't say no.
When you look at the potential, if you do decide to go pro after this season, a lot of people obviously question the big thing is obviously where's the ACL and that type of stuff. What could you say in terms of that? Why do you feel confident if this was a decision for yourself, you know that you could still be a great player to go out and play right now this year?
No, I just think like my game isn't really like determined on me just jumping real high or just using powerful moves like that. So I mean, I bend my knees to make moves and all that, but I'm like not trying to explode or anything like that. So I think I'll be all right.
On the other side of that, if you decide to come back to school for one more year, how special could you guys be if everyone does return of the entire core group, adding yourself in there? How special would that team be next year at St. Louis?
Real good, real special. Honestly, that was to happen. We could do some things.
I know also that you've now become this player that's at 6'6". You are capable of running multiple positions. As you said earlier, you like being versatile. So how have you learned to become a guy that's at 6'6", can run pretty much the 1 through 3? In some certain scenarios, you can also run the stretch 4 if you need to. How have you learned to become that versatile of a player as well?
I think that's just came with growth. I was
Mhm.
at some I was a little smaller than I was, but as the game started changing and I started getting taller, you know what I'm saying? I think it just came with it. Like I ain't really go out looking for it or anything. You know what I'm saying? It just happened.
Obviously, not all guys want to be remembered for something. So when that time does come, if it is after this season, if it's after another year, and you end up leaving St. Louis, what do you want to leave being remembered for? What do you want to be remembered for what you achieve both on and off the court?
Everybody know that that I was just a good guy. That's it. And I was a good guy, and I just happened to be good at basketball. But I want everybody to know that I was a good person, that just played basketball. That's really it. There's nothing more to me, though. I just want everybody to know that.
And that also is another unique aspect about you because a lot of guys will say, a lot of guys might have that personality and say that too, but obviously to go out there and actually show that as well. Be a guy that truly is not just about basketball. Obviously, that's something you just do, but it doesn't define who you are. So, what's led you to be that type of person? Why have you decided to buy in and say, basketball is what I love. I want that to be my career, whatever. But end of the day, I want to be remembered for who I am as a character and as a person.
Because, it's more, life is more than basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball is great, but, there's more to life than just basketball. So, I mean, just because you play basketball doesn't make you better than anybody. Just because you don't play basketball don't mean you worse than anybody either. So it's that's all.
Did you always think that way, or did it take somebody, or was it a religion or a faith or someone, or what kind of got you to buy in saying, really just realizing and buying into that aspect and that mentality?
I think it's just me. But I mean, I used to watch movies and stuff like they like the jocks and all that, like just so negative people and all that. I was like, I don't like that too much. So I ain't want nobody to look at me like that. So I was like, yeah, everybody the same. We in the same boat, man. Just because I play sports don't mean you no different than me.
Mm-hmm. Now, my final thing for you over the next year span, whatever route you end up choosing, whatever God's got in store for you, what's your three biggest goals that you have set for the next year?
Just whatever it is, make it professional. Just what I'm saying, actually make a good career out of it. Uh, take care of my moms and my family, just not my moms and my family, and just be happy. Honestly.
Well, Javonte, best luck with the remainder of your rehab process. I'm looking forward to seeing you back on the court, wherever that's going to be at. I'm excited to see what God's got next for you, man, and appreciate you taking time to come on today.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, you're always welcome on, man. God bless.
Peace.